If you just change this one thing, I can guarantee you'll be way more fulfilled and proud as a father. Welcome back to another episode of the Be Better podcast. I'm your host, Harrison Orr. I've helped coach almost 500 guys to have more presence, less stress, optimal health, optimal performance, so that they can be better husbands, better fathers, better leaders, better business owners, and ultimately live life based on their terms, not anyone else's. And so in this episode, I want to talk about some of the frames that we tell ourselves as dads that probably inhibit us. Like, they're set with good intentions. Like, as a father, we always want the best for our kids, right? We want our kids to grow up smart, strong, athletic, happy, usually as well, and all those things. But where a lot of us go wrong is we have these massive expectations. Sometimes we push these onto our kids. Sometimes we have them for ourselves, and it doesn't leave a lot of wiggle room, right? There's these things that are ways that kids learn, right? How many times have you learned by someone simply telling you what to do or how to do something, right? Especially as you were a kid looking around at the world, trying to figure everything out. Probably can't remember that back far. I know I can't. But it's shown now that kids are not going to learn from what you say, especially since they cannot communicate effectively, really, until they're a few years old. I know my son's almost 2 and he sure as hell can't, right? He can pick up a few words, but I can't have a conversation with him yet. So you're looking at 3, 4, maybe, right? And then so that's quite a few years and a hell of a lot of development for them to go through, for them to not understand proper words, sentences, meanings, consequences, anything. And so how else are they going to learn? By actions, by what they view, by how they see us do things, how they see us handle our emotions, how they see us behave on our own, with our partner, with them. How they see us interact and move through the world is how they then seek to replicate. Oh, that's how dad did it. That's how mum did it. Okay, that must be how you do it. That's how you handle when things don't go your way and you get frustrated. Oh, okay, I didn't get what I wanted, so I had a tantrum and then cracked a fit, and then they gave me what I wanted. Awesome, I need to do that. Or mum and dad shun me in the corner every time I cry and scream and have a tantrum, and they only want to give me attention when I'm happy and smiling. Okay, I need to be a people pleaser in order to get attention, to get love, to have people want to be around me. It's a tough balance as a parent, trying to find that middle ground between not giving in, but also, not having those, those loops developed in their brain. And so a good piece of advice that was given to me right before I became a father was, you're going to fuck your kid up anyway, so just relax. And I know that might seem bleak to some people, but what he was getting at was, like I just said, you could do everything right, but because our kids can't interpret things contextually, they can make crazy assumptions that to our logical brain don't make sense, but to their immature, undeveloped brain, they connect these dots, and then that becomes how they handle emotions or certain emotions. That becomes their pattern, essentially. And so even if you might do all the right things, they might form this pattern that doesn't help them handle certain emotions, that breeds them into the person that they become, which may or may not be as desirable as or as successful or as mature as you'd like, right? And so if we can take that pressure off ourselves, then it can really help us to just be a bit more present, not be so stressed out. And so when we always dial it back to ourselves, because one of the big things that I'm always reminded of in life is there are more things that you can't control than you can. We can't control our child's behavior. We can't control our partner's behavior. We can't control how our child receives the information that we give them, how they like what they do with the resources, the words, the information, the actions, the food, whatever it might be that we give them, but we can control our response, our action, how we do everything. And so if we can't control that, but we can control our actions and our behaviors and our patterns and our habits, then that becomes the biggest lesson, the biggest teacher for our children. And so the question I'm going to pose to you right now, if your kids repeated your habits, would you be proud? If they lived exactly like you do, they showed up how you show up, they acted like you do when no one's looking, they treated people like you do, they expressed their emotions, their frustration, their anger, their happiness, their gratitude like you do, would you be proud? Would you be proud of that person, that child that you raised to express themselves and handle life that way? Or would there be things that you're not so proud of? Would there be things that you hoped they would do different, that you hoped they would do better? But just by telling them to do something different to the way you do it isn't enough. We have to do it differently to show them this is how you handle your emotion. This is how you communicate with people when you don't get what you want. This is how you handle conflict, especially as a man. Losing your temper, getting just being a yes man, being a nice guy, saying yes, having no boundaries isn't a great way, in my opinion, to raise a child. I want to raise a child with a backbone that has boundaries, that is confident in being able to say, no, I don't want to do that, but being able to communicate effectively, even with heightened emotions. And it takes a lot of maturity and a lot of emotional intelligence and a lot of self-awareness to be able to look at yourself, look at our behaviors and say, you know what? I know I'm not perfect. These are the things I want to change. Because also in showing your child that you're changing these things, that you're aware of these things, even that lesson in itself is huge. That you can improve yourself, that you can change, that you seek to be better, that you seek that feedback, that someone can give you feedback and you take it on board, that you don't have to take it personally. You know what? I could have handled that situation better. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Thank you for your feedback. I'm gonna work on that. And trying to be perfect, you'll always fail in every aspect in life. And even ultimately, our kids don't want us to be perfect. They don't even know what perfect is. When they're little, we already are perfect to them. So we don't even really need to try. But we do need to try to be present. They don't need a perfect father. They need a present father. They need a father that's actually there when they're trying to tell you about their day, when they want to play with the cars, the Lego, or they want to kick a footy, they want to go and do something. They want dad that's actually there, not dad that's standing there and kind of constantly looking on his phone, or is always prioritizing work calls, or just putting kids last. And of course, you'd never say that, but your actions will show that. When you take the call at the dinner table, when you're never there, you're always, oh yeah, oh wow, that sucked. And you're never there. They can tell. They're not stupid. And so prioritizing that presence, having little routines. One thing that's been massive for me in being present with my wife and my son is when I finish work, I will always make sure that I have at least a 20-minute buffer from when either I go pick my son up or when everybody gets home. I have this 20-minute buffer, which allows me to clear the day, both from my desk and from my mind, organize tomorrow's calendar, and then be able to shut off. And so I'm not constantly trying to get back to my screen, because I've done that before. I feel like they get home or I have to go get them and I have it in my mind, oh, I'll just come back to this. I feel interrupted already and I feel frustrated. Like it feels inconvenient that my family is home, that I have to go and get my son. Like that blows my mind that I would even have that feeling that, oh, it's inconvenient. I have to go and get my son. Like, fucking audacity, right? But now, just by having that small routine, I can be present. I'm not trying to get back to my desk. I'm not trying to just quickly put him to bed, quickly, get him out of the room so I can go back to my desk and finish working, which is not that important. Like, it's not going to make or break anything significant if that task waits till the next day, right? I'm lucky enough to be in a profession where, nobody counts on me for emergencies. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a firefighter. I'm not a paramedic. So no one is going to call me when it's a life or death matter. It can wait till the next day. And that's another thing that our kids are learning as well. They're always learning from us. And especially as your kids get older, who they're surrounding themselves by. Not just like intentionally, but unintentionally. By teachers, by their friends' parents as well. And now even all the screen time, people on YouTube, people on Instagram or whatever like platform that they're on, if they're on their age that they're on that already, then we have very little control over that. So again, like, who are your kids learning from? Are they learning from YouTube or are they learning from you? Are they learning how to navigate life? Are they learning how to be a man? Are they learning how to do all these things from what they see on shows, on TV, in cartoons? From, are they learning how to be masculine from the feminine? Which is why we have so many nice guys today. We got the masculine lessons and energy through the feminine, I should say, lens. And if that interests you, go check out the book No More Mr. Nice Guy by Robert Glover. Insanely effective book, especially if you're a nice guy. And disclaimer, it's gonna hurt your ego. But if you don't want your son, especially your kids, to learn from those people over you, which they will eventually because there's going to have more sources of information and things out there. But if you don't want them to be the primary source, like that they favor those over you, then it takes some effort. It takes some intention. Like, we have to be present with our kids. We have to show them that we're willing to sit with them, to teach them, to help them problem solve, to just be there for them. Because as dads, we're not just financial providers. As dads, as fathers, we're also there to teach them how to be masculine, how to control your emotions, how to have discipline, how to have courage, how to do hard things. And part of that is things that you don't want to do. And so if there's things that you don't want to do and you just blank pass that off as to, here, go watch this YouTube thing, or I just don't want to deal with your emotions right now, just stick them in front of a TV, give them an iPad, then think about what lesson and standard that's also setting for them. I know it can be hard for some guys to recognize that, like, you are the standard for your household. I know it's hard. When you run a business, when you make a lot of decisions, when you've got a lot of output throughout the day, and you get home and you're like, oh, fuck, now I still have to show up. I still have to make decisions. I still have to do everything for my family. It can be hard, right? Some days you're just like, I don't fucking want to. Someone tell me what we're having for dinner. Someone else look after this. Someone just tell me where we're going. I just don't care. Just someone else look after it. But the problem with that is decision making is a masculine trait. And so the more that you ask your wife, especially, to step into that masculine, to make decisions, to lead the family, the more you give that masculine power to her. And so the more she becomes the leader of the family. And if she's having to step into her masculine because you don't want to, then your relationship balance becomes way off. And I can promise you that if that's the dynamic that you're in, most couples are going to have problems in the bedroom, in attraction, in spark, in interest, in lust, because those dynamics are off. If in your relationship you've always been in that dynamic, she's always been the masculine and you've always been the feminine or the receiver, then cool, that might be how your relationship dynamic works. But if you're the traditional masculine as the male and she is the traditional feminine, being the female, and then you ask her to step into that dynamic's going to be off. She's going to feel lost because she looks to you to lead and you're not leading. She has to do it. Especially if your woman is career driven and owns a business, it takes more of your masculine to step in and to lead because she's in her masculine all day. She just wants to get home and just relax and just tell me what to do. And not in a controlling or a overpowering or a negative way, but in a leading, in a safe way. She wants to feel safe that, okay, I don't have to think about this because hubby's got this, because he's taking care of this. And so even if She may not like the options or the things that you choose, and that's totally fine. It's not like, oh, well, why do I even fucking try and get sour over it? Make the decision, present it as an option. How does this feel? If she says yes, beautiful. If she says no, have a backup plan, backup option. But the initiative to make that decision, say, hey babe, I'm feeling like this for dinner. How does that feel? As opposed to, I don't care. What are we having for dinner? I don't know. I don't care. What do you want? Well, I don't know. What do you want? I don't care. What do you want? I don't know. Well, what's easiest? Oh, we'll just get takeout. Oh, this. How many times have you had that conversation where you go, I don't know, and nobody wants to make a decision? Not very masculine, not very leader-like, not very authoritative, is it? So change it. Get used to leading yourself. Get used to making decisions for yourself, for your own situation, and then bring that to the family. As a hack, the more decisions that you can decide beforehand, the easier it is to handle life and to come up to make decisions on the fly that you didn't see coming. So things that you know that are going to come up, like what you have to wear the next day, what you're going to eat, like when you're going to train, when you're going to fit things into the family. Why use a calendar? Do all those ahead of time. Plan your week, either last thing on a Friday or Saturday or a Sunday night, or even maybe on the first thing you do on a Monday. Depends when it works for you and when you like to be organized. Personally, I like to do it beforehand, like not on the day, but have that organized so that all you need to do is follow that bouncing ball. You've made all those decisions, and then you can save that mental capacity and that decision-making ability to the bigger shit, right? To handling conflicts or things that you don't see coming, to being that comfort for your child or for your partner if something else has happened, or if you're just putting out fires at work that you didn't see coming. And so the emphasis of this podcast is to take that pressure off yourself. Don't worry about so much about being the perfect father, because you're never going to be perfect. There's always going to be something, you're always going to have flaws, right? And as humans, biologically, we're going to want to do better than our parents, right? There are going to be things that you loved about your childhood and the way that your parents raised you. There's going to be things that you either hated or that you want to do better. And even if there's nothing that you hate, you had a pretty good upbringing, your parents were pretty awesome, there's going to be things that you want to do better, right? And that's not to say that your parents were shit. It's just that biologically you want to do better. And just like they wanted to do better than their parents, and they wanted to do better than their parents, it's how we're wired so that we grow as a species. And so if we can make it so that most of the stuff that we do is pretty good, but our kids just want to do better, it's not, that was fucking horrible, that was traumatizing, my dad did this, or he was never here, or, you know, our kids then operate from that place of pain, of scarcity, of deprivation, then we allow our kids to operate from a place of safety, of abundance, of creativity, of love. And that space generates such a different energy that it's immeasurable. Like, think about your own life, the times that you've been stressed and operating from scarcity and just tired and burnt out. How many good ideas have you had? How many good interactions or good experiences did you have? Or are you having, if that's your space right now? Probably not too many. But then think about the other times where you were super grateful. You were super happy, just you felt light the way that you moved through life. The ideas that came to you, the ideas and the level of thinking that you had around solving problems, about creating new ideas for business, for personal life, for new adventures, for doing all these things, and just the energy that shifted as you're communicating with people and interacting with people, and how different that felt. Imagine them growing up in that kind of energy where they've got that safety from you and they can operate from that space rather than from a space of deprivation, of scarcity, of trying to prove dad wrong because he didn't believe in me, or trying to do this different because dad was this, he was never here, he was whatever. They grow up without a masculine role model and have all sorts of issues. So I hope that's been helpful. What I'd like as always, I like to leave you with something that you can action, because I'm a big fan of, and this is my opinion my viewpoint has changed over the last couple of years, of not just consuming information. There's always information out there. Information is fucking useless unless it changes your behavior or changes the way that you do something. If you're in the same situation and you do the same thing, you're going to get the same result. And if that's the result that you do not like, and you've consumed information about how to change that, then I'm sorry, but you have learned nothing. So my intention with this podcast is for you to be in the same situation, but choose a different behavior, choose a different action, do something different, so that we can get closer to you getting the result that you want and keep moving down that path. And so now think about just one area in your life where you could be better, where you could be showing up differently as that father, so that you're not stressed about being the perfect dad. You're just trying to be better in some capacity. Like, where can you switch your phone off? Maybe it's you implement that switch off routine before you walk in the door, or a version of that. Maybe it's you purposely, or you use a calendar, right? If you're not already using a calendar, block out family time, personal time, doing all these things. Maybe it's something that you want to teach your kids by you doing it, by showing them, right? Don't just say, oh, I'm going to teach you how to do this. Here, let me show you by me doing it. Implementing that, taking that with you, so that your habits, if your kids replicated all your habits, reading instead of screen times, maybe it's being outside instead of lounging around playing video games and watching TV. Maybe whatever it is. Show them. Don't just tell them. And I'd love to hear what that is that you action, and what change you notice from your partner, from your kids when you do that. So if you want to reach out, you can drop a comment on this, or you can go to Instagram, reach out there, tag me in this if you listen to this as well. I'd love to be able to support more men becoming better fathers, better husbands, better men in general, because ultimately, if we create better men that raise better sons who become better men, then ultimately everybody wins. We get to win, we get to feel proud, we get to feel successful, our sons become amazing, their partners, and society wins as well, because we have stronger men leading from the front, more masculine, healthy energy. So with that, don't be sorry, be better, take action. I'll see you guys later.